This is a split call, 5 minutes. Chris Farfoy.
Yes, and I'll be sharing that with my Fijian brother, Rajan Prasad. Mr Speaker, Talohani, and to the delegation from the Pacific Talohani, it's a privilege to speak in this debate. As one of the 5 Pacific members of this Parliament, this House of Representatives welcomes you. This forum will begin and strengthen strong personal and national links. As Labour leader David Shearer put it, we'll get to know each other better. I'd like to acknowledge my fellow Pacific MPs in this House, my colleague Sir William Seal, Pesata Sam Notuinga, Alpha Ngaro and Asanati Lolitala. As you will see, our Pacific representation is pan-political. We are diverse not only in our nationality but in our opinions. I think you've already seen this in this debate today, but I think I can assure you that despite some fundamental philosophical differences, I believe all Pacific MPs work for the better of our community. We have Alfred Ngaro and Sam Notuinga, leaders in their communities on the other side of the House. I do honestly believe their plans are to lift their communities in their regions and for Pacific. The problem is we just disagree how we go about it. That is the beauty of the democracy that we live in, and that we as Pacifica are participating in it is a sign that Pacifica are well and truly a force and growing force in politics here in New Zealand. Can I also acknowledge the Foreign Affairs and Trade Select Committee led by John Hayes for organising this forum and this event over the weekend. I know it has been an interesting task, but the program for the weekend and the 3 or 4 days ahead looks great, and I look forward to hosting you all in Porirua on Sunday evening. We look forward. Pan-political. To the 17 members of the delegation from the 22 Pacific nations, Talohani and Tēnā koutou katoa. I look forward to the next 4 days as we in New Zealand discuss and, as Sam Notuinga said, hear from you about issues that are important to the Pacific. I'd in particular like to acknowledge Margaret Pedro and Tavita Pue from Tokelau. Maloni. As a proud Tokelauan, it is great to have 2 young leaders from Nukununu and Hakoho here to ensure there is a strong Pacific voice from Tokelau. From those at home who are at home watching or listening, Tokelau is a proud small nation of 3 atolls, Atahu, Nukunonu and Hakoho. It's an interesting time to be a Pacific MP. As I said, we are now well entrenched in the political stage. But as we move towards a Pacifica community that is becoming more New Zealand-born, new opportunities and challenges emerge. Attitudes are changing, but it is important that our values do not. Many of you may have seen that last night in the debate in our Parliament on the issue of marriage equality. I felt compelled to ensure the diversity of views in the Pacific community, but in doing that I needed to respect the view of others, although I disagreed. That is one of the challenges, and I know we can overcome it, and that is ensuring our youth can live in the 2 worlds they live in, and some live in 3 or more. But in its simplest form, living in New Zealand with Kiwi expectations and living in our Pacific community with Pacific expectations. It's not easy, but I look around our communities and this House and I know it can happen. But enough about us, let's look at you. In David Shearer's speech, he pointed out the importance of democracy. He said that democracy needs a free media. Before I entered this House, my background was with the media, and I agree with David Shearer 100%. We may not like it all the time in New Zealand, but our media have freedoms, are fearless, and most of the time focus on issues that matter to New Zealanders. I know that in some places in the Pacific, the freedom of media is not so entrenched. The media, in its purest form, is the conduit of the people to hold people like us to account. I believe we in New Zealand can do much more to ensure there are free and skilled media in the Pacific. Tales of torture of media, muzzling of media, and limited control of the media does nothing to advance democracy. I'm not saying that we know better, I'm saying that we can help to ensure that the right questions are asked in the pursuit of fair, honest and accountable representation that is of the people, by the people and for the people, and I look forward to discussing that tomorrow afternoon. I'd like to pay tribute to our pioneers, those grandparents and parents, many of who came to New Zealand to a new land, many of them at a young age, to give, as Sam Notuinga said, a better life to their families. Someone told me very early on in my political career to drop the grateful migrant story, but never, never, never will I do that. I thank them for making the journey to this land and giving us the opportunity to live better lives.
Dr. Rajan Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. E ngā rangatira katoa o Pacific